30 Days by It's_Kingston on AO3. Episode 6, Chapter 3, August 31st. Luce grabbed Boscha on her way out. Literally. Luce just walked by and grabbed Boscha by the arm, saying, "Come on, we're gonna be late for tryouts." Boscha quickly followed Luce out the door, before Luce filled her and her on the rest. "Well, they're in 10 minutes, but if I told you that, you'd be sitting there." Boscha laughed and kept walking. "Thanks," she said, albeit sarcastically. "Okay, kids, everyone here?" Miss Clawthorne said as she paced along the line of students, calling names. Once figuring out all but 2 students were there, they began tryouts. "So, we're gonna have you lot wait in the locker room, and one at a time, you'll come out here," Miss Clawthorne explained. "What about blocking?" a kid asked. "Oh, for that, you'll be up against me," Miss Clawthorne explained. The students seemed to be divided about this matter. Some of them thought it would improve their chances, while some realized Miss Clawthorne would probably destroy them all. Once tryouts began, it was clearly the latter. After a particularly cocky student left the room, Luce heard high-pitched squealing. Minutes later, the student came back, looking pale and feeble. "She's gonna kill us." "Next!" Miss Clawthorne called out, and everyone shifted away from the door. Even Luce was put off by her classmates' weird warning, but lost of confidence. Boscha stepped forward. "I was texting a cute girl, but I guess I'll stop for you babies," she groaned, pushing her phone into Luce's hands and walking out. After realizing the screen was so glowing, Luce looked down at it, seeing flowers and green hearts as a name. She chuckled and turned the phone off, shoving it into her pocket. Boscha came back 20 minutes later, dripping sweat. "She said I made the team," Boscha said as Luce handed her phone back. "Now I'm gonna go shower. Twice." Boscha began, walking out the door. "Tell Willow I said hi," Luce said, cautioning Boscha to quickly turn around. "You left it on. Don't blame me for noticing." Boscha murmured something and walked away. Luce noticed how from her neck to her ears were red. "Next." Luce hesitantly walked out and was tossed a ball by Miss Clawthorne, who stood on the sidelines. "Shoot from as far back as you're confident from." Luce nodded and stood behind the 3-pointer line, carefully aiming. With a swish, the ball made it in, and Luce looked over at Miss Clawthorne for instructions. "Again," she said, tossing Luce another ball. Luce continued to shoot, each time taking a step back like Miss Clawthorne said to. At 3 feet before half-court line, Luce missed. She looked over towards the teacher, who was writing something down. "Okay," Miss Clawthorne said, looking up from the paper. "You're gonna try to score on me. You got 3 chances." Luce gulped as she grabbed a ball. Miss Clawthorne moved in front of the net and waited, not seeming ready. "Go when you're ready," she said. "Okay," Luce said quietly and began dribbling. She ran forward, deciding it would be best to dodge around her teacher rather than shoot over her. First attempt, Luce ran forward, quickly ducking left, but was shut out. She turned and faked right, but still unable to get past, so Luce took a few steps back and shot. Blocked. "Almost," Miss Clawthorne said, throwing the ball back. Second attempt. Luce stood still, thinking. She started dribbling and sped towards the net. Like last time, she tried to go around, but was blocked. She took a step back and got into shooting position. This time, when she jumped, she didn't let go of the ball right away. Since Miss Clawthorne had jumped to block the ball, Luce waited until both of them falling back towards the ground before letting go of it. It went right over the crotch and into the net with a swish. "Congrats, kid. You're the second one to get a shot in," Miss Clawthorne said, picking up a ball. "You think you could be the first to keep a shot of mine out?" Maybe," Luce said, walking to the net. Miss Clawthorne laughed. She went to the half-court line and began dribbling. She quickly came forward and rushed Luce. running left and shooting with no hesitance. Luce jumped and tried to block it, but she barely brushed the ball, not even enough to change its course. That doesn't count, by the way, kid. The blocking, I mean. I was supposed to test you against other students, but that's no fun, Miss Clawthorne said. Congrats on making the team. She handed Luce a slip of paper. Wait, really? I made the team? That quickly? Even though Luce was confident in her ability to play, she never expected to be playing semi-professionally for one of the top colleges, especially at only 19. I thought it'd be harder, since the kid that ran back in said you'd kill us, Luce said, putting it in air quotes. Oh, that guy? He's not a player. I asked the theater class to lend me a kid to scare y'all. I don't want scaredy cats on my team, so I rooted them out. Miss Clawthorne said, That kid deserves extra credit. It's only been you and that pink girl since then. She laughed. Next. Luce heard Miss Clawthorne continue calling those poor kids in as she walked out. Luckily, there were 2 locker rooms, the one where the kids were waiting in and a separate one, usually for the other team. Luce walked into the empty room and took a shower. She put a change of clothes into her dress string bag, since she knew team tryouts were going to be rough. Her hair was still soaked when she left the locker room, dripping onto her white t-shirt and orange shorts. What did the paper say? I forgot to read it. Luce pulled out the paper out of her bag and read it. On it, she saw her name sloppily written, and the bottom signed by Ida. Just Ida. I hope they still count that, Luce groaned. Normally, you'll sign a paper with your first and last name, but Miss Clawthorne apparently didn't get the memo. After reading the slip, Luce saw it was just the official paper saying she made the team, so she put it into her bag, where it would be safe. Luce realized she was hungry and checked the time. 11:40. What? How? That's almost 4 hours, she said, heading to the cafeteria again. Wait, was it? When Luce entered the cafeteria, she noticed 2 things. 1. Earlier the place was cramped full. Now only 20 or so kids were scattered around. 2. Boscha and Willow sat together at a table near the back. Luce looked over at the lunch options and realized it was still breakfast. A sign above the food table read, Breakfast 5 a.m. through 12 p.m. Lunch 12 p.m. through 5 p.m. Dinner 5 p.m. through 10 p.m. Guess I'm gonna have breakfast again. Luce grabbed some mildly cold French toast and walked over to Boscha and Willow. Hey, Willow said as Luce sat down. Did you make the team too? Yeah, I think I was the second one, Luce replied, glancing at Boscha. They made eye contact and Luce smirked, glancing over at Willow, then back to Boscha. Boscha gave a look that can only be read as, If you dare say a word about her, then I will make sure I personally end your basketball career before it begins. Luce quickly nodded, causing Willow to glance over. You okay? She asked. Yeah, just stretching. Luce reached her arms up. It's a good to stretch after playing sports. Technically, Luce wasn't lying. Yeah, Boscha agreed, copying the gesture, which made Luce laugh. So, how's it going with your girlfriend? Boscha teased, grinning as she watched Luce figure out what she meant. You have a girlfriend? Willow asked. I have a girlfriend? Luce said, curiously looking over to Boscha. Oh, come on. I saw you go sit down beside that girl during breakfast. The one with green hair. Your face lit up as soon as she walked in. You were all smiles. Boscha explained. Oh, that's my roommate, not my girlfriend, Luce said, feeling her face heat up at the thought. Uh-huh, and that's why you're brushing like crazy? Willow chimed in, laughing as she watched. I thought you were on my side, Luce said, causing the trio to laugh. So, she really just your roommate? Boscha asked. Luce fought back the urge to ask Boscha the same question. So, is she really just your roommate? Boscha asked. Luce fought back the urge to ask Boscha the same question. Yeah, you can ask her. She hates me, Luce said, resting her head on her hand. It's true. I can't stand you, Amity said from behind Luce. Luckily for Luz, she only caught the last part of the conversation. See? Luz said, pointing to Amity. She hates me so much, she follows me and seeks me out in the cafeteria. No, Amity said sternly. Out of the three, Luz was the only one she knew, so she couldn't say she wanted to talk to the others. Why was she there in the first place? She just felt like being there, she supposed. But why there? Because Luz was there? So, why are you here then? Luz asked, spinning around on the bench to see Amity. You ruined my breakfast, so I came to ruin yours, Amity said back, even though that wasn't the case. Sucks for you. I'm having lunch, Luz said, turning back to face Willow and Boscha, who seemed to be enjoying the show. That works for me, Amity replied, sitting down beside Luz. Wait, I ruined your breakfast by being there? That's harsh, Luz murmured. I call that a skill, Boscha said from across the table, getting an elbow from Willow. We have somewhere to be now, right? Willow said to Boscha. Huh? No, yeah, you wanted me to watch practice for the team. Boscha covered, causing Willow to roll her eyes. Yeah, let's see how many goals you get, Willow said, following Boscha out. There aren't Ow! Amity and Luz were left at the table by themselves, sitting in silence. So, how to ruin little Miss Law Student's breakfast? Luz asked, smiling at Amity. Don't call me that, was all Amity said back. What? She was supposed to blow her cover? Say she just wanted to be here? Show weakness? No, she shouldn't even be here. You know, you're going an awfully bad job at ruining my lunch. You being here kind of makes it better. Luz shrugged. Amity silently stood up and walked away, lost in thought as she followed the familiar hallway back to the dorms. Luz finished her breakfast-lunch combo a few minutes later and began walking back too. The door to room 302 was cracked when Luz got there. She walked in and saw Amity leaning over a notebook at her desk, writing quickly. You studying for something, Blight-y? Luz asked as she walked in. Amity quickly shut the book and glared over at Luz, her face slightly red. Nothing that concerns you. She brushed her hair out of her face. Why is your face so red? Luz asked innocently as she sat down on her bed. It's not. Check the mirror if you don't believe me, Luz said, grinning. Anyways, I wanted to ask you before you ran off, why do you hate me so much? Amity noticed a twinge of sadness in Luz's voice. Her expression wanted to match. Even though she had only met Luz yesterday, she felt it was impossible for the girl not to be smiling. Amity sighed. Who said I hated you? She said quietly. Huh? Luz murmured. I don't hate you. I just can't stand you. There's a difference. Amity explained, like it was a simple addition. I don't get it, Luz replied, confused by the explanation. What was the difference? Either way, you didn't want to be around someone, so it would end up being the same. I don't not like you. I just think you're obnoxious, Amity said. So you do like me? Luz grinned, causing Amity to sigh. No, I just told you I don't like you. I don't not like you. I think you as an obnoxious person I have to live with. So I'm neutrally liked? Sure. If you think I'm obnoxious, you'd want me to leave you alone, right? But you don't seem to mind me here now. Luz teased, now back to her normal, smiling self after the cold comfort. I do think you're obnoxious and annoying and any other word of the sort. I wouldn't mind if you left. I'd be happy if I was alone again, actually. Amity said back, harsher than intended. Amity couldn't help but feel saddened by the lie. Finally, she found someone who didn't treat her like a princess, but now she was driving Luz away. Amity didn't want to be alone again. She knew she had her siblings, but they were just that, siblings. She always had the boys her mother set her up with, but none of them were obnoxiously present that she found herself thinking about them constantly. She thought about her mother, how Odalia always made people leave. Amity only felt worse after that realization, like her brain was scrambled. "Hello, you there?" Lou said, dragging Amity back from her growing cycle of depression. "You zoned out for a minute, and you were staring at me too? I thought you finally fell for my charm," she said sarcastically, adding a wink for extra effort. "Don't flatter yourself, as if I'd fall in love with you," Amity said back, turning back to her desk, where she pulled out a book. After a few minutes of silence, Lou spoke. "1 month. 30 days. I can make you fall for me." "What?" Amity said back, unsure she heard that right. "That's absurd. You wouldn't be able to. I can't stand you, not to mention the fact that I don't like girls." "Then it should be easy for you, huh? Or are you just chicken? Anyways, once I'm proven right, we'd both be happy, right?" Lou grinned. "Don't go assuming you'll win. Once September is over and I haven't fallen for you, I'll never have to see you again." "I'm confident enough to take that risk. When September ends, you'd want me to stay, Blight-y." "Shut up and stop calling me that." Okay, all right, we're getting places. We are getting places. All right. So, the bet has officially started. I decided to do all of chapter 3 in one go. No, not all of chapter 3 in one go. It was split in 2 parts, I think. No, did I split it in 2 parts? No, I don't think I have. Oh my god, wait, did I or did I not? I'm trying to think. Last one was chapter 3. No, I have split chapter 3 into 2 parts. Okay, I did split it into 2 parts when that should have been a 3-parter. Or kind of, yeah, it could have, it should have been a 3-parter, not a 2-parter. But I ended up doing a 2-parter. The next one is rules and regulations. I have a feeling that one's gonna be like, okay, these are the rules that you cannot do, and these are what you can do. Clearly we know that this is a Amity thing, so clearly they're gonna be together. This is very much flirty loose, which I find, is it in line completely with Luce's personality? No. But is it enough where it's believable? Yes. Here, Kingston, before you start beating yourself over, think about it. Vigilante Izuku makes sense. It would make sense for Izuku to become a vigilante. He'll stop at nothing to be a hero. What doesn't make sense is a lot of the villain Izuku fix. Why? Because Izuku inherently is a very good, very not lawful good, I don't know which alignment he would be, but a very good character who cares a lot about people, right? So villain Izuku is very out of character. But notice how it's also a really hard thing to pull off. But notice how certain villain Izuku fix really do fit, right? You sit and you read and you're like, yeah, this seems like it would be Izuku. And this does have Izuku's personality, and Izuku becoming a villain in this one doesn't seem so far-fetched. Why? Because they give us the reason why he became a villain, and because it makes it in a way where it is believable. I actually really do like this fic so far. It really does feel like Luce, and it does really feel like Amity. I haven't watched the show in like a good couple year, but I do feel as though this is really good, and I'm really loving it so far, Kingston. I do notice that in like, you know, the fics that I've done before, you're a lot more confident, and I could notice that. I think I mentioned this before, but like I want to specify what makes me feel as though you're more confident. 1, you no longer do the whole quotations with the thoughts. You just put them as part of the narration, which I noticed that, and sometimes the difference I could tell between a writer who is confident with adding those thought bubbles and thought speeches in their fic versus someone who might not be as confident is, what's it called? When they either put the quotations, she thought, he thought, they thought, blank thought kind of thing, instead of just adding it. Those who are really confident really just add it. They sometimes add that little thingy that makes it curved, but that's it. They add it. They just add it, right? And that's something that you do later down the road. You just add it, right? I've noticed that you're the type that just adds it. I cannot remember if you do the little quotey thingy or not, but you just add it. Sometimes, yeah, you would write she thought or whatever, especially when there was multiple characters and multiple point of views. But for the most part, you literally just put it half the time, meaning you were more confident in your writing. You would also take time to describe the feelings and do things like that, and a little more time on a world building in the sense of like description and stuff like that. So I could tell that you have gotten more confident within your writing. And this one is really good. Do not get me wrong. I'm seeing traces of you. But I could tell that you're a little less confident. And you would be surprised how much confidence in writing changes whether your writing is good or not bad, but like it changes how better your writing can be. If you're more confident in what you're writing and more passionate about what you're writing, your writing reflects that in small little details, like as I said, saying she says, she thought, things like that. Small bits and moments like that where it's like, okay, you're confident about your writing, so your flow is natural, right? And it might be small little differences, like little words or little things, but like when you're confident and passionate about what you write, it tends to be really good. Even I read this one fic where the writing style was atrocious. I mean atrocious. It was atrocious. It was really fucking atrocious. It was horrid, horrendous, right? I did not like it. I did not like the way that it was very, very, very weird, right? It was atrocious in my eyes. It was something that I couldn't follow very through. Was it a badly written type of writing style? No, it was just the writing style. But for me, that type of writing style is atrocious because it does not, it confuses me and confuses most, right? But something that they were is confident. So while the writing style was one that I found atrocious that I couldn't read, right? They would not baby me. It would not be like the type of like, oh, I hate their writing style because like they baby the writer. It's like, I hate the writing style because half the time I would have to reread a paragraph just to understand what was happening. But I could tell that they were confident in their writing because even though it was atrocious to read, I enjoyed and ate every last bit of it. Would I recommend it to someone else? Fuck no. If it was written differently, I would definitely, but I would not put someone else through that because that was so hard to read. But the difference between someone who's confident and someone who's not confident is someone can have the best writing style and not be confident. Yeah, sure, people will still enjoy it. People will still read it, but it's not to its best potential. Once you get confident in your writing, you become, yeah, you can close the door. You become the best potential of your writing. And I think you've reached the best potential of your writing. I really like your writing style, the way that you balance thought and dialogue and action. Those seem to be your bases. Do not get me wrong, you do sometimes delve into descriptive. You don't just, throw away description. But as I said, it's really cool. I love your writing style. There is some points where I would have changed a word or two, but that's just me being nitpicky and me like sort of kind of starting to change it to be more of my writing style because that's the writing style that I'm the most comfortable with. But I really enjoy your writing style, and your writing style is really good. And I'm enjoying this story as well. You also always have the most interesting plots. That's something that I have to commend you for, the plots. And as much as you say that you don't know a lot about psychology and the past points, you're doing really well. Like, we could start with Amity here in this one. Amity's whole dialogue thought of she doesn't, like, she's pushing away the first person who doesn't seem to treat her, right, and not understanding. Psychologically speaking, yeah, that's something that happens. You grow up in a very controlling household, and the second you meet someone who's either not controlling or not treating you like the highest person in the world and like, kind of stuff, you get scared. Why? Because you're not comfortable with that. Humans tend to stick with comfortability, right? Things that make them comfortable, things that they are adjusted and understand and know. Yes. Does Amity consciously want someone not to treat her like that? Like another Blight? Right? To treat her like her own person? Yes. But the second somebody treats her like that, her subconscious starts to act. Like as she said, she doesn't know why she's pulling her away, why she's pushing her away. Which also, growing up and seeing and having people pushed away from her, whom she chooses to be with, and having them pushed away from her, not by her own accords, but by her mother's accords. Yeah, that right there causes this attachment style where, okay, I cannot befriend you because you're gonna end up getting pushed away from me anyhow. I might as well push you away now. At least it will be my choice and not someone else's. So I'm gonna push you away now because it is my choice and my accord before somebody else pushes you away from me. Now, do I think you understood that part and knew the psychology behind that? No, but you did it anyhow, and it turned out really well. That's actually something that I always acknowledge of your writing and your plots and your characters, because you do a really good job at accidentally doing them. I don't know if this one was accidental, if you put thought behind it or so much underlying thought, but maybe there was some thought behind it. It's like, oh, people like this behave people like this, right? But yeah, that's the psychology behind it. Believe it or not, you might consciously want something, but your unconscious doesn't. You might consciously be, oh, I want this, but your subconscious are going to make you feel uncomfortable with that and push it away or get rid of it. Not saying that your subconscious is right or your conscious is right, because not all the time your conscious is right and not all the time your subconscious is right. It's normally a mixture, right? Or sometimes it's one or the other that's right and wrong, right? So it's pretty great, right? But yeah, I'm liking the story so far. And as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.